you ready to be fired up? Because I've got McCallJones here. Oh my gosh, you are going to love her. She's talking all about charisma styles and how you actually speak in a way and the body language that you use to actually attract more customers, convert more clients, to develop a long-lasting relationship with them. And I actually met her. She was a speaker right next to me at Funnel Hacking Live. And I'm going to let Nicole tell you all about her accolades. She's amazing. She used to sing in High School Musical. She's, performed, she was a famous person basically. And now she's teaching people how to become like her. Hey, McCall, how you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Guys, every single person watching this or listening to this needs to know I'm obsessed with Krista Mashore. I am her number one fan. I will fight you. She's incredible. Holy cow. She was right before me at Funnel Hacking Live and everybody. So I didn't get to watch her live and she didn't get to watch me live because they take you backstage and all this stuff. But as soon as I got off stage, all I heard about was Krista Mashore and I'm obsessed with her. So, I'm so excited to be here.
So this is going to be somebody that actually I think might have more energy than me. So I'm just going to warn everyone here. If you are ready to smile, ready to laugh, ready to get so excited, this is going to be your call. I recently hired McCall and she is teaching a program in my Power Producers course. And I'm actually taking the course alongside my students because I want to get better. And quite frankly, we're both obsessed with each other. So McCall, tell us a little bit about your story and your background.
Yeah, of course. So
First, what is charisma hacking?
I would love to tell you that. Yes. So I own a company called Charisma Hacking. With Charisma Hacking, I help people be more likable and more persuasive on video. Now, the secret that I have is the secret sauce. It's this program that I've put together called Charisma Styles. Now, what Charisma Styles is it teaches you how to be yourself and how to have the advantage that you have with people in person when you actually develop a relationship with them from the very first time they see you on video. So we go through this process and you are one of 54 different combinations of charisma styles. And once you know your charisma style, you can increase watch time and engagement rate and conversion rate, but it actually makes people pay attention to you and trust you and do what you say in a way that feels really naturally to you. So the way that I came up with all of this is kind of crazy, long story, but I grew up as a performer, like you said before, and I started my professional singing career at the age of 8. I went from doing talent shows to singing in front of audiences of 35,000 people over the course of a couple months. And it really increased the stakes of this singing thing that I really love to do. That in combination with the fact that I have a dad who wouldn't speak to me for days at a time if I would mess up on stage. Like I said, it increased these stakes and it actually made me start blacking out on stage. I'd get so nervous that I wouldn't know how I performed. And then I'd get off stage and kind of hold my breath waiting for this result. Was my dad going to speak to me? Is he embarrassed of me? Or is this not going to happen? So what I ended up doing is I was on the program with all these incredible people because I was the go-to singer on the motivational speaking circuit, which was kind of a crazy thing. But one day I heard these people reacting to this person I was on the program with named Donny Osmond. He's incredible. And as I sat there and listened to this audience interact with him, it snapped me out of my panic attack that I was having before going on stage. The Donny Osmond. Okay, yep, I was 9. It was crazy. And I went out and I saw that people were clapping and interacting with him in a way that I had never seen. And it was the first time that I broke down what made people clap. I broke down his charisma and I made it a checklist. It made it something that even as a 9-year-old, it was something that I could do. But most importantly, it kept me from blacking out. And all of a sudden it was something I could control, right? My whole life, people would say to me, McCall, you have the it factor, which if your audience doesn't know what that means, it is literally an indefinable thing that you have to be born with that nobody can teach you. And at first I felt really special when people would say this to me. But then when, my dad wouldn't speak to me or people would come up to me and feel sorry for me if I messed up on stage, I thought, okay, when I mess up, my it factor goes away. But with this blacking out process, if I didn't know I messed up and then my dad wouldn't speak to me, I didn't know how to control this it factor until I was watching Donny Osmond and I was like, oh, he pointed at that person and it made people clap. Oh, he did this with his microphone and that made people clap. Oh, he said this and that made people clap. It was my very first time that I broke down what makes people clap in a scientific way. I started doing that for my whole life, used it all over. And then I started, giving it to entrepreneurs when I realized with all of my one-on-one coaching that I intuitively would coach one person one way and then coach a different person a different way, because the skills that would work for one person would not work for another. And my husband was the one that was like, why do you do that? Why are you coaching them differently? And like, if you coach them the same way, it would actually sabotage one of them. And I was like, maybe we should look into that. So we spent 2 years developing this Charisma Styles program that we literally can categorize every single human in a way that makes so much sense to them that it helps them bottle that it factor, where all of a sudden they can control whether or not people are paying attention to them. So that is my story. And I've been doing this forever and I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely love it.
So everyone, just hang tight and stick around to the end, because at the end, we're going to give you, or in the show notes, a very special link to figure out what your charisma style is. So don't leave.
Everybody stick around, because yes, we're going to give you the special link. I'm so excited.
And she did this at Funnel Hacking Live, everyone. And I was like obsessed with it. I got off and I was like, I saw the end of her. I'm like, that girl has more energy than me. My husband was like, she actually does. But McCall actually told me, she goes, Krista, it's just a different type of energy. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. She's more crazy, silly energy. And I'm more like, yeah, you gotta go, like
totally.
So it's so different.
It's fascinating. I know, because you said that several times and I'm like, Krista, I do not have more energy than you. I don't think anybody has more energy than you, but they're different styles, right? Even as you watch me and you interact with, each other on this podcast, exactly like you said, like mine, it's called perform, right? Perform energy. I'm very theatrical and I'm really silly and all this stuff. And you're what's called a roar, right? You command attention and you're a powerful woman. They're the same level of energy, but they're different styles of energy. This is one of the reasons why people struggle so much, is because most video coaches, what they tell you is two things. Number one, be more authentic. And then they can't tell you what that means. And they're like, just keep doing it. And the second one is have more energy. The problem is, if you add the wrong style of energy, if you tried to be me or I tried to be you, it would go very wrong, right? And it'd look really awkward, even though we both have really high energy, right? It's about having the right style of energy to make sure that it's not super awkward. It's very fascinating. I love it so much.
Yeah. So I have this 17-minute pre-marketing presentation that I send to people to get them to want to request a market analysis and to get them to want to do a listing presentation with me. And it's like, it's pretty, it's a great content, talks a lot about marketing, digital marketing, and, how we're able to completely dominate, the online space for our sellers, to get them more money, more exposure, more links, more clicks. And she went through this video for me and just completely showed me all the things that I could do to make it better, and like where I was doing things incorrectly and how that affected me. And I was like blown away. So, and a lot of people that are listening, I mean, like, me, I'm much more comfortable on video, but I haven't always been that way. So you help people that are like, Brand, can you explain like who you help, who this kind of thing can work for?
Absolutely. So the really interesting thing about Charisma Styles is I have people in my programs who haven't even really discovered what their entire business is, right? They haven't created their own framework, right? They are very, very beginners. A lot of the people, they've never been on video before, but sometimes they actually have an advantage because they haven't numbed themselves to feeling like being awkward on video is okay. I help everybody from that point all the way up to people like yourself, Krista, right? Who are doing this a ton, right? I just spoke to somebody who has like a 40,000 person group who, we're doing it on YouTube now because her Facebook Lives are incredible. And when she goes to YouTube, it's different. She's different on YouTube, right? So we're working on making sure that her YouTube is more like her. The reason why I say that sometimes beginners in this case have the advantage is because, I told you about the two things that people say. First, be more authentic. And the second is have more energy. The third one that they say is just keep doing it, which I agree with if they have charisma styles, right? If you don't have charisma styles, the process of find your voice is just a repetition game. The problem with that is if you are doing something that's awkward, that feels awkward, right? What I tell people is if it feels awkward, it actually looks awkward, right? And at the beginning, when you're new and it's uncomfortable and you're like, oh, but it feels so awkward. It's because when you get on video, if you're waving your arms around on video and you've never done that in person, of course it feels awkward. What we do is we look at the video and we say, oh, you're just waving your arms around like you don't do in person. Stop doing that. And you're like, oh, okay. The camera doesn't actually make me feel awkward. I've just been doing awkward things, right? When people just add repetition without diving into their styles, it's like they walk into a smelly room and 5 minutes later, they're like, the room doesn't smell anymore. It's like the smell didn't go away, right? Their videos, they say, oh, well, I'm really comfortable. And maybe that's how I should measure success. Now, when you have the combination of them, when you know your styles, then you think, oh, this awkwardness that I feel is actually a gift because it helps me map out exactly what I'm supposed to change. So then when you add the repetition, each video actually gets more and more effective instead of just being really comfortable and then being like, my videos aren't working and I don't know why. So beginners, if you're listening to this and you're like, ah, man, well, I'm not on video yet. I don't know how to use this. Hey, listen, you may have the advantage over me and Krista, who've been on video forever, because we know that we have to get it done and we get on video and we're like, if it feels awkward, I just got to keep going, right? It's this fascinating process that literally works from people all over the spectrum.
Yeah, I'm ready to like up my video game just so I can make more of an impact. And so when you get your charisma style right, you start feeling comfortable. What happens is, can you talk about what that actually means? Because listen, everyone, here's the deal. Number one, it's great to create video content, but if nobody sees it, it's not going to help you. So you need to know how to get that video content in front of people. That's one thing, right? Which is what I teach. The second thing is, once you actually are in front of people and people are seeing you, how do you make sure that that video is more impactful? It really speaks to people. It helps you convert more, you get more engagement, you get more attention, you develop more of a relationship and more of a connection with people so that you ultimately can convert them into clients and actually help them and make an impact. That's why it's so important. So that's why I'm so fascinated by this. And it just aligns so closely with what it is that we teach. And especially now, and I don't know if people that are listening understand, if you haven't done any research on the impact and the power of video in your business, you need to go home right now and research why video is so important. Now, talk about somebody, McCall, that's like, I am so afraid of, I'm terrified. And can you kind of speak to that to the masses?
Yeah. So the first thing that you said with, what you do is you get the eyes on people, right? That is one of the many things that makes your program and your system so powerful is that you get the eyes there, right? That's what you teach people to have all of the eyes show up, right? Getting people to the video, which is so important. Now, the next step, it's the reason why we're so obsessed with each other. And we're like, let's do everything together, right? Because I'm like, can you teach all my people how to get the eyes there? And you're like, can you teach all my people once the eyes are there, how to keep them there? And I'm like, sure, right? It's one of these things where once they get there, we increase watch time, we increase engagement rate, we increase conversion rate by knowing your styles. So when people are really scared to be on video, the main thing that you're scared of is the fear of rejection, right? A lot of times what happens is, especially when people come from a corporate setting, the corporate people, right? The company sets the company culture and they say, you are a representative of this brand. And what they do in order to make everybody a representative of that brand is they have everybody dilute their personalities so that kind of one size fits all, right? And that's where we come up with the word professional or polished. And everybody starts sounding like this, right? Yeah. They're afraid of getting on video and being rejected. So first thing they do is they dilute their personality and they say, oh, well, corporate America taught me that this is professional. When you own your own business, when you're a real estate agent, when you're a video marketer, you own your own business, you set the company culture and you are actually going to define what professional means. What professional means is being the best at what you do, flat out, right? If you are crazy and silly, that doesn't change your expertise, right? It doesn't change the level of expert that you are, even though in your brain you think that it does. So when people are terrified, the first thing is people are going to see this, right? Even though they join programs that tell them, hey, I'm going to get 1 million eyes on you. They're like, they're going to get 1 million eyes on me. This is terrifying, right? First, because you're afraid of them rejecting you for who you are not being, and you don't want people to see you be awkward, especially when you're doing this professional thing. The second thing is when you start to become yourself, you're like, what if people see it and they don't like it, right? Mm-hmm. The rule that we have with charisma hacking is if a person would like you in real life, they should like you on video. And at the same time, if a person does not like you in real life and would not want a relationship with you in real life, they shouldn't like you on video, right? Yes. We're opening up to have it be the same audience, right? Not everybody's going to like you, but it doesn't mean that people are going to hate you on video for whatever. It's like, oh, well, if they wouldn't like you in real life, they're not supposed to like you on video, right? you have to be yourself, because then when people see it, you attract the right people. Then when people see it and you attract those right people, then they stay, right? And the power that we're giving people is to be able to get a relationship, to establish a relationship right off the bat with people. The people who like you will stay and actually become clients, and you'll be able to ascend them into whatever programs you have because they see the real you that they want to connect with immediately, instead of taking, 45 videos to see you and then being like, oh, that one, they're being themselves. Maybe I'll tune into that one, right? It just gives you the advantage of creating that relationship a lot quicker.
And not only that, but then you're also, you're attracting the right client and you're deterring the wrong one. I mean,
yes.
Like I'll give you an example. I did a training and we lost 100 people on the first day. And I was like, it wasn't the training. And I was like, they weren't attracted to me. I was too much for them. I tried to talk too fast, too much energy. They couldn't keep up. Right. Which is fine.
Totally.
But the other people that were saying, like, we love you, you know what I'm saying? But I want that. Like, I wasn't mad at myself. Well, actually I lost a tooth that day. So I was like toothless. I literally did a training on Monday with 2 missing front teeth. I looked like Bucky Beaver.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, hey guys, look, I tell you, it doesn't matter what you look like. I have 2 missing teeth, right? And they were probably like, hillbilly Krista, I'm not gonna hire her. But the ones that stayed, are super engaged, are having a great time. And that's who I want. I want the people that actually want to be around me, that like my personality, they're engaging with me. And when you can do this, when you can get eyes on you, and as many of them as possible, and then get the right eyes to stay on you and engage with you, your conversions are going to go up, and you're going to enjoy the people that you work with so much more. So it's like such a powerful package.
The crazy thing too, Krista, is like one of the amazing things about you and what happened there is that the 100 people that left, you wouldn't try to spend more money acquiring them when they would leave in the end anyway, right? If you weren't yourself at the beginning and those 100 people stayed until they learned who you really are and then decided they didn't like you, you would spend time, money, energy trying to court those people. Instead, when they know who you are immediately, it puts you at a major advantage because you're like, oh, let's have the Facebook pixel not follow them around the internet, right? You won't spend money on them trying to acquire them with ads or any of these things because they know who you are right from the beginning, right? You being who you are, I will tell you, I'm one of the people that's obsessed with you. People know immediately. People know with me too, right? If my crazy weirdness is too much for them, they zone out, right? They get out. And that's what we want. Because if it was going to be 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 months until they met the weird, kooky, crazy me, and then they left, I would spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy trying to convince somebody who's never going to like me anyway to buy my stuff. Right?
And God forbid they do, it's probably not even going to be a very good experience. It's like, how many times, like, I'll tell you, I one of my problems, I love people. I'm a people pleaser. I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to like me. And, I'm getting better at, like, I don't care as much, but I remember so many times, like in real estate, where this one time this man, I was his like 4th or 5th real estate agent. And I was like, he had fired all of them, and he, had something bad to say about everybody. And I was like, I'm going to show him, he's going to love me. And I mean, I knew this guy was going to be difficult because he was a time sucker. He was an energy sucker. He did not respect my boundaries at all. Like, he'd call me at 6 a.m. and would not let me get off the phone. And back then I wasn't strong enough to be like, hey, cut it off. Right. And I wanted so bad to just like show him. And it was the hardest, most miserable transaction in my entire life. Go on Yelp. You can see his name is Juan, the last T. He gave my first negative review ever. It was the worst review in the world. And this person like lied, and it was just so crazy. He called the police on a different agent during the transaction. He was just horrific. And I knew we shouldn't have been together. Right. But because for some reason, I wasn't displaying that by the way I was creating my video and creating my content, that it was miserable, right? And we don't want that. We want to be able to attract the right people, and we want to make an impact more than anything. And so, it's not just about creating video content, everybody. It's about creating the video content in a way that's actually going to help move the needle, make your life easier, save you time, save you energy, make you more money, help you help more people, and get that messaging out there. So I am so obsessed with what you do. I'm actually going to be hiring McCall personally to coach me. I just talked to her about that before now. As I said, again, she is a part of my power producers program.
I'm obsessed with it. They're incredible.
Yes, I said. So you do have something that you're going to be offering us, and I'll talk to you about that at the end. So stick around to the end.
Totally.
talk to me a little bit, and this is going to help you identify your charisma style, right? And as she said, there's 54 styles.
54 combinations of styles. There's
And
12 styles, but
yeah,
you could be.
Okay. So 12 different styles, 54 combinations. And in fact, when I met with McCall, I was like, oh, I know exactly the style I am. And I was absolutely wrong. I think on all three of them, quite frankly.
I think so.
I think I was, yeah. And then when she told me, I was like, oh, I can see that. And it made a difference. And then when she pointed out things that I was doing right or wrong, I was like, oh my gosh, I can totally see that. And I can see how if I was more authentic and myself, this would be so much more effective. So we're going to be giving you a charisma style, like tells you what you are. But here's the thing. It's not as accurate. So can you tell me when you're using the wrong charisma style, or you're trying to, can you explain what happens?
Absolutely. So what happens? So like we said, there's 12 charisma styles. So there's 3 authority styles, 3 compassion styles, and 6 entertainment styles. And the way we came up with those is through K-cluster analysis, which just means math, and charisma hacking different people, saying what gives them the ability to get people to move to action and trust them and, pay attention to them. While we did this, we know that these are the only ones that exist. So when people get it wrong, right, there's 54 different combinations of those things that you can be, because you'll be 1 authority, 1 compassion, and 1 entertainment. The reason why people get it wrong, we have about a 5% rate of people who guess all 3 correct. Now, it's not because they don't understand the styles, because we explain them pretty well. And it's not because the people are stupid, because even including yourself, like you are the smartest human in the face of the planet. It's because of how people see themselves. So this fear of rejection actually messes with you so much that we have things that are called false faces. So what a false face is the first one's called a two face. We spell it TOO, and it's the one that you compensate for. If you've ever been told in your life that you're too much something or not enough something else, you try to compensate to try to prove those people wrong. And those 3 styles that you are, your 1 authority, 1 compassion, and 1 entertainment, are the only ways that you can actually be successful. Anything outside of that, we actually have something called the false face consequence key that tells you exactly what happens, how an audience will react to you or currently is reacting to you when you get out of that style. But with this false face, your brain says, oh, I would rather try to prove this person wrong than sit in who I am comfortably. The second false face is called the ooh face. And it's when you have a mentor that you think they're doing it right? The same way that, like, if I found you, Krista, online and I was like, Krista's a powerhouse, I need to do everything that Krista's doing. And if I modeled you exactly, like we said at the beginning, we both have high energy, but we have very different styles of energy. So it would sabotage me to try to copy your entertainment style. It would also sabotage me to try to copy your authority style, but our compassion styles are the same. So when I look at you and I'm like, you know what, we're the same in some ways, but we're very different in others. Me going, ooh, that's the one I think is the good one, can actually sabotage you a lot, right? There are people who I have charisma hacked who I know specifically which mentors they are looking at and trying to model after, that's not working for them, right? Those mentors, yes, they have frameworks that you should use. And in some ways you can model what they are doing based on those frameworks, but their charisma styles, if you model them, it's like when you get a sales script and it works for the person that gave it to you, but it doesn't work for you. That sales script still works, right? That sales script and framework is amazing, but it's probably a different authority style than you. So you need to adjust the language a little bit. Otherwise it won't work for you, right? So these different false faces change the way that you see yourself, because you think, oh, well, which one do I want to be? I can become whoever I want to be. And what do people think of me? And how do I need to compensate? That's the reason why it's inaccurate, right? So we're going to give your people a couple things. So one of them is called the Charisma Styles Estimator. So you can start to guess. And a lot of people, I'm going to be completely honest, will just like move the little circle around so they can see all of the trainings and the little thing we're going to give them. And that's okay, right? But what I will tell you is the reason why people get it wrong is because you'll be like, oh, you know what? I think I am a light entertainment, which just, they have you trust the process. When really you should be in the center of things and be a lead entertainment. You're removing yourself because you're worried you're going to be too aggressive, right? There's different ways that your brain just messes with you that have you see yourself differently. So when I come in, I tell you, okay, well, I want you to guess. And then I reveal what you actually are. And it actually starts to make sense. You're like, oh, now I actually see what you're talking about. I am like that in real life. right? It's like in real life, people already like you. They already trust you and they already do what you say. Why not take the advantage of things you've been practicing your whole life and move that on video to give you that advantage there too, right? I just help people see that and move it to video.
Yes, and it's so good. Oh my God. People do you just not love her? Is she just not so amazing? And
Yes.
just absolutely, and the real thing about her, she's actually really real. Like, this is McCall. She's not putting anything on. As she told you before in her life, she tried to tone herself down based upon people telling her, you're too much, you're too this, you're that, including her dad, if she didn't do things exactly the right way. This is 1000% McCall Jones. And I am just love you. Okay, everyone. So we've learned about charisma styles. You were amazing at Funnel Hacking Live. Number one, I want to let everyone know, if you would like to know what your charisma style is, you're going to go to kmcstyles.com. That's K like Krista, M like Mashore, C like cat, styles.com. And you're going to be able to identify what type of charisma style that you are, so that you then can better go out there and dominate and crush the world. All right. So make sure you do that. McCall, I always end every single podcast this way. If there's one thing that you could tell people, maybe it's a life lesson that you've learned, or what the best kind of advice in business or in relationships, either one, what would that thing be?
I would say it's probably think with your feet. What I mean by that is, a lot of times people are so worried about something being perfect that they never push the publish button. And what I like to think of, you call it do it now. And I'm obsessed with you. That's so great. So smart. I think of everything in my life having an edit button on it. I expect myself to evolve. And I actually tell everybody around me that too, right? With all my programs, with every single thing, I'm like, expect this to evolve, because I hope tomorrow that it is better than it was today. And I hope in 3 months, this program is even better than it was today, including my videos, my processes, every single thing. But it can't be better if you don't have published documentation along the way, right? If I'm like, well, in 3 months, if it's going to be better, then I'm not going to publish today, then you're actually keeping your message and your service, that you're providing from people, and it's not doing you or them any good. So when you think with your feet, you think, okay, I just got something. I got an idea that I want to do. I'm going to publish it. And guess what? It's not going to be perfect, but tomorrow I can make it even better. And I just push the edit button, edit it, and then publish it again. And then the next day, it's going to be even better. Instead of thinking with your brain and sitting in it and being like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if this is a good idea. You learn so much more from failing over and over and over and over again than you ever would from learning over and over and over and over again. So if you can think with your feet, say, okay, well, I had the idea. I'm now going to just step, instead of I had the idea. Let me think this over. Let me do this, right? Try to learn by doing instead of learn by learning. And it will make your business and life go so much faster. Learn by doing. Not by learning. I love that. Learn by doing, not by learning. That's so great. Okay, one last thing. Yes.
For people, what's the one strategy you can give people that are super fearful of doing video? What would you recommend? Maybe it's the same thing. Just do it.
Yeah. Honestly, the first thing I would say is practice. So find a safe environment where you can practice. Start recording videos on your phone camera roll. No joke. Go through and take yourself on a tour of your house, right? Have proof of what you actually sound like, because once you have proof of what you actually sound like, then when you add the pressure in, all we're doing is we're looking for what we call the gap, right? If you are terrified, publish videos in your phone, right? You don't have to push go live on Facebook first, right? You can have pre-recorded videos and practice them over and over again. Make sure that you have, I call them canned responses. Figure out what you think about things and then film yourself talking about what you think about things. More often than not, people are worried about rambling or they're worried about looking stupid. It's like, if you know what you're talking about, then you can actually practice that, right? Practicing in your camera roll, and then go to a group that you feel really safe in, right? Anybody in any of Krista's programs, you guys have Krista's Facebook groups. That's a safe place. People are only going to cheer you on there. Start there before you publish on your own platforms, right? It's working its way up while you are publishing. Publishing just means you recorded that video and it is documented. The second step of publishing is, yes, pushing it live. But if you're not ready to push it live yet, right, you will get there very, very quickly, but record it in your phone first. If you're nervous about going live, record it in your phone first and then go live, right? You won't get any better if you don't do video. I used to have people in my programs, this will be the last thing, but I used to have people in my programs that, we had a 3-month option a while back, and they'd come to me at the end of the 3 months and I'm like, okay, how was the program? And they're like, listen, I don't think I improved on video. And I'm like, oh no. Well, can you send me any of the videos that you publish? And they're like, well, I didn't publish any videos. And I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. So you didn't get any better on video because you didn't publish any videos? And they're like, well, yeah, I don't think the program's working. I'm like, okay, maybe I should have been more clear about this at the beginning, which I was, right? But in order to get better on video, you actually have to do video, right? If you don't do it, you can't get better in your brain, right? You have to publish to get better. So first publish in your phone, then publish on Facebook, right? Work your way up to going live. Make sure that you are publishing video and you don't think, I suck at video. And then if I ask you, well, have you done one? And you're like, no. I'm like, okay, then you don't actually know if you suck. You're just scared to do it.
Yes. And I'm going to find out one thing on what she said. Okay. And then we'll, because we're about over time, but you have to understand this. And that's this, everybody. I just had somebody tell me yesterday on a challenge that she recorded something 50 times before she published it. Do not do that, right? Like, don't do 50 times. I mean, even if you just you're going to get better by doing it. And then you can look at yourself and go, oh my gosh, I can do that better. But don't. So many people that I know, they keep trying and editing and waiting and tweaking and this and that. I want to be perfect. And it's like, it's never going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes all the time. So the more often that you can hit that go button and actually get it out there in front of people, it's going to be better. So this woman wasted like the entire day trying to just make the video perfect. And she's like, well, finally I just script and just published it. And she should have did that like after time 2 or 3 or after time 1. And even then you're going to realize you are your worst critic. Like you're beating yourself up. You're worried about things that nobody else ever even sees. Okay, McCall, I love you.
I love you so much. The woman that you talked about, she was thinking with her brain. She wasn't thinking with her feet.
Yes.
Right? The action that was just happening in her phone was brain work. It was not footwork, right? When you think with your feet, you guys, if you're scared, record one on your phone and then do it, right? You have to be publishing in order to get better. Absolutely. Chris, I'm obsessed with you.
Repeat that. Think with your feet. Tell me that one again.
Think with your feet. You learn by doing, not by learning, right?
Yes,
Think with your feet, not with your brain.
You learn by doing, not by learning. Not by learning. Yes. Okay, good. Yes. I told you I'm slow. I'm not slow. I'm great. But anyways, all right, everyone. Thanks for being here. Remember, if you want to learn your own Christmas style, it's free. It costs nothing. Go to kmcstyles.com. And she just gave you the best pieces of advice. McCall, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you more than you know. I think you're amazing, as you know. Otherwise, we'd never let you around all of our wonderful students. And I just want to thank the listeners for still being here and getting this awesome gift. And just know that I appreciate you giving me your time. I know it's your most precious asset. And I hope you were just as fired up as I was with McCall. Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends.
Thanks so much for watching my video. You can learn more about how to be a successful real estate professional by watching other videos that I have. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, make it a great home selling and buying day.